Here's how you can carve mussel shells into primitive fish hooks, and why some shells like these freshwater clams don't work for this. In this river there's freshwater mussels, but you can use the ocean variety too. And because this was done anciently with stone tools, that's how I'm going to show you how to do it. Nearly all the tools were made from pieces of basalt that I found on the riverbanks. Basalt is a very dark colored dense stone, and you can crack sharp flakes off of it like this, just using one stone as an anvil and another as a hammer, and by striking straight down on the basalt's edge. These flakes work great for cutting, sawing, and grinding the shell, as that fresh surface exposed is really abrasive. When you don't have flint available, this is the next best thing. And knowing how to strike off these flakes ensures you have a razor sharp cutting tool anywhere you go. At first I tried making these hooks from freshwater clams, but I found that even the largest clams were far too brittle and thin to be able to make this sort of hook. Mussel shells are much harder to find here, but with enough searching, I finally found some. You can get multiple hooks from a single shell, so don't be upset if you find broken ones. In fact, we're going to break this shell further to get a fragment of the right size, and that way there's less grinding to do later. One tool I brought with me is this Jasper drill, attached to a handle with some pine pitch glue. That allows me to drill with my hands through the shell, and it's a lot more gentle than a steel drill bit, so you're less likely to crack it. It really didn't take much time to drill through this shell. Now I just need to work it a little more to get the hole as wide as I want. Shell's a hard material, so sometimes I have to sharpen the drill bit. That's easily done with a piece of antler to chip off small flakes from the tip of the drill. Now with the hole about 1/4 inch wide, it's time to use a basalt flake as a saw to trim down the piece further. Again, this goes quicker than you might think it would. Basalt is very hard and abrasive, and it cuts this shell pretty easily. With lines scored deep into the shell, I can just snap off the pieces I don't want. Now we gotta grind this hook round. Making things like this just with rudimentary stone tools used to be a baseline human skill. Everybody knew how to do this. It's since largely been forgotten, but it's still a very practical survival skill, and I think everybody should know how to use tools like this. With it fairly round now, it looks a bit like a bead, so it's time to cut into the circle to separate the tip of the hook from the shank. 2 cuts were made to take out a piece, so it now looks a bit like a keyhole. Keep the grinding surfaces you're using wet with a little water, because that keeps them from clogging up and lubricates the grinding surface so it goes quicker. You can see I've gotten the point of the hook sharp. Now I'm just working down a high spot, so this section of the shank is more straight. Just like this. The last part to grind on this is the attachment point for the fishing line. Simply grind a little step a couple millimeters down the shank, and then saw a groove around the shank. What makes these hooks great is that they're a circle hook, which sets into the fish's lip with less effort than a standard fish hook. Modern steel versions of these hooks are commonly used for catfish. I'm not very quick at these yet, so they each take about an hour to make. As you might expect, primitive fish hooks like this were used with natural cordage fishing lines. So I'm making a quick leader here with a bit of willow bark. Slip the attachment point of that hook into that bit of cordage. Then just a bit of pine pitch glue is used to make sure it doesn't come out. Please let me know if you want to see me catch a fish with this.